Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Witness and I'm your host, Quatrina Hossain. A lot is being said about corruption in the country these days. Every politician uses the word corruption to target his or her political opponents. For years and years and years, every politician in this country has been dogged by different accountability bills, bureaus, you name it, we've had it. The history of corruption in this country and efforts to curb it have often been equated with political victimization. And in all honesty, very few people, particularly politicians in this country, have actually been convicted. Accused, jailed, definitely. Convicted, very few. Why is that? Why is the fact, and this is not this administration, preceding administrations. Many of you, if I want a quick history lesson, you may remember the Ihtisab Bureau, which was set up by a gentleman called Fauzia Wahab under the leadership of the PML-N. Prior to that, the Pakistan People's Party talked about accountability. General Pervez Musharraf introduced NAB, the National Accountability Bureau. And in his first speech, when he introduced NAB, he said, we are going to nab everybody who's involved in corruption. Didn't happen. So what's the problem over here? Is it just that corruption accusations are made against people who are innocent and that's why no charges are ever upheld? Is it our prosecution that's weak? Is it our investigators who are not able to bring forward proper evidence of white-collar crime? And that is in effect what corruption is, right? It's white-collar crime. It's money laundering. All these things are part of corruption. Today we're going to talk purely about fiscal corruption. You can talk about corruption with regards to ethics, to morality. A person can be a corrupt soul. But we're not going to talk about those issues today. Those are very judgmental and perhaps arbitrary. We are going to talk today plain and simple about fiscal and financial corruption. Does it exist in Pakistan? Yes or no? And if it does, what needs to be done about it and who needs to do it? Obviously, I'm also talking about the fact that a petition has now been presented before the Supreme Court of Pakistan by Senator Muhammad Ali Durrani of the Pakistan Muslim League. He says that corruption is an international phenomenon and Pakistan is lagging way behind when it comes to the battle against corruption. And in 3.5 years of the current dispensation, the accountability bill has not yet been presented for ratification before Parliament. This is what we'll focus on today, and not just on what has happened. We will want to talk about what needs to happen. So please allow me to introduce my guest. My first guest in the studio is the petitioner himself, Senator Muhammad Ali Durrani of the Pakistan Muslim League. He is the one who has filed the petition in front of the Supreme Court, and the hearings for that have begun. We'll ask Senator Muhammad Ali Durrani to explain the dimensions of his petition and why he feels the need to draw in international law. That's going to be a key point about it. Joining me from Karachi is Fauzia Wahab, representing the Pakistan People's Party. She's an MNA. And we'll be asking Ms. Wahab what needs to be done, what has been done, and what the government plans to do next. And joining me from Lahore, Anoushay Rehman, an MNA from the Pakistan Muslim League N, who serves on the committee that has been given the task of devising, formulating, and putting down on paper the text of the accountability bill, which has to be presented for Parliament. What's the hold up on that? We'll be talking to Anoushay Rehman about it. Senator Muhammad Ali Durrani, I will of course begin with you. Your petition is there in front of the Supreme Court. First tell us, of course, briefly if you can, what is your petition, what is your objective of your petition?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The objection of my petition is very simple, that today, when there is an international legislation by UN Convention 2003 and all the countries, they are united against corruption, when there is a star initiative under UN going on, that's the Stolen Asset Recovery Initiative, and the whole world is ready to cooperate with every country on two issues. Rather, the world is demanding that there should be a law against corruption in every country, and there should be no protection given by any country to the, finances which are brought to that country, whether it's Switzerland or it's a developed country, and they are kept there.
The famous numbered accounts in Switzerland, Grand Cayman Islands.
Yeah. There should be no safe haven for the money which is not documented. So there is a total consensus on this issue after the UN Convention in 2003. And
which Pakistan has ratified?
Pakistan has ratified it in 2007. Okay. Now it's ratified by Pakistan, and so far so that even Switzerland, after ratification of this law, has passed a bill according to which there is no more protection available to any type of account, even in Switzerland, by anybody from any country.
Okay.
And if any country demands from Switzerland, but state, not an individual, I can't say to the Switzerland, tell me the names of the persons who are having numbered accounts or anything.
Right.
But if the state of Pakistan demands from Switzerland to give us the detail of your bank accounts, individuals who belong to Pakistan, they are bound to provide that. And all these informations have been provided to America, to UK, to Morocco, to Tajikistan, to 10, 12 countries. And even India. Last week, India has started a dialogue and legal procedures with Switzerland for getting the names of their nationals who are having their bank accounts in Switzerland, and the estimated amount of Indian plundered money over there is about 1,500 billion.
Wow.
So, and about Pakistan, the total Pakistan estimate, which I have calculated from all possible means, is $500 billion.
$500 billion. You believe
yes,
it has been illegally removed from Pakistan and is in bank accounts abroad.
It's all over the world. And 200 billion estimate is there about Swiss bank accounts.
Swiss accounts alone.
Alone.
Now, a lot of financial corruption from Pakistan, I am told, because again, as I said, it doesn't get proved. But the allegations are that a lot of this money has been invested in real estate in countries ranging from Malaysia to the United States, to ranches, and we've all heard those stories, but they remain urban legends. I mean, are they real?
I have a statement of Malaysian ambassador that under the second home initiative, we have received 100 billion rupees from Pakistan in less than 1 year.
100 billion rupees.
100 billion is more than 1.2 billion dollars.
Right.
So that's
Malaysia alone.
That's only Malaysia in a very short.
In 1 year.
1 year. So this is it, and the beauty. There's a handbook in my petition. That's the Star Initiative handbook developed by this
stolen asset.
In that, everything is given. All ways and means of corruption, protecting money through properties, through vehicles, through jewelry, through accounts,
through fake companies,
and they address to all issue, and the whole world is ready to help developing countries to get their assets.
Okay, now just to be
back.
In your petition, and I know a number of people at the Supreme Court has asked you to change the petition, remove a number of the respondents, but you believe that assets belonging to Pakistan have been stolen or looted by politicians, by the people from the armed forces, by business houses, by the business community, by people in different walks of life. So you're not just targeting politicians, are you? You're saying that everyone.
I am not targeting any politicians only, rather I'm not mentioning any name.
Has the Supreme Court told you to name names?
I'm not mentioning any name.
But have you been asked by the Supreme Court to
There was a comment by the Supreme Court, and they can have any opinion that if names are there, then we can be very specific about going about it. But my plea is totally different.
Right.
I have written in this that I am not mentioning any name, reason being that I want that there shouldn't be anything. Mudslinging is not my objective.
Okay.
My objective is to get credible information from respective countries through my state. If my state says
So you
so,
want the
any
state of
names
Pakistan.
you will receive from there, those will
Okay.
be the most credible, and no NRO, no other case, no any protection so far given to anybody's property or accounts will go, they will be nullified.
Okay, let's go straight to Karachi, where I'm joined by Fauzia Wahab. Mrs. Wahab, you heard what Senator Durrani had to say. The real question over here, of course, is that right now Pakistan doesn't even have an accountability law. My question to you is very, very specific. Is Pakistan intending to honor its international obligations after signing the UN Convention Against Corruption in 2007? Is the government of Pakistan willing to go after money stashed abroad by anyone illegally?
Quatrina, as far as my information is concerned, I don't think so. NAB is functioning without any law. Laws are there. An accountability law has been submitted. It has been put on the floor, and it has been given to the National Assembly Standing Committee. And there are some problems with the members, and the members are still not satisfied with that law. And until and unless the Standing Committee doesn't pass that bill, which is regarding accountability, until then we have to be, we are already working with the same accountability laws that we had. So what is the other question you said, you asked?
The other question, ma'am, is that Pakistan has signed the UN Convention Against Corruption, and we signed it in 2007. And the global community, different developing countries, are now using an international program called the STAR Initiative, and that's the Senator Durrani, remind me what does STAR stand for? Stolen Assets Recovery. The recovery of stolen assets, and anybody, not just politicians. Senator Durrani in his petition to the Supreme Court says anybody who has illegal money abroad should be, the government of Pakistan should find out who has money abroad and bring that money back. He says the current estimate is $500 billion of assets of Pakistanis. Pakistanis are abroad.
I think, Quatrina, this is something that nobody would object on it. And I think no government can have any objection on this stolen asset recovery. Why? If there is a stolen money, and if it has been, taken out from the country, and if it is in some other countries, and if there is a mode to bring it back, why not? I don't think so. There is any government in the world who would refuse or who would deny this. If this legislation can be done, if it is possible, who would deny it, or who would not accept the importance of this, whatever you are talking about? But by talking about stolen asset, it means that you have accepted whatever is being said about Pakistan. Now, the contention that Mr. Durrani is talking about $500 billion being stashed away in foreign accounts, it sounds a little exaggerated, the figure. And looking at the size of the economy of our country and the number of money that has come as investment in our country into various projects, this figure of $500 billion is too high and too fantastic.
What do you think the figure could likely be?
I have no idea. It could be 1 billion. If it is so, it could be 2 billion, but it can't be more than that. Because you have to go as per the... Now, the question is, how is the money stolen? How is it done? First is the one by those people who have some authority. By definition, corruption is anybody who is abusing their authority or misusing their authority. Now, how much money is there in the country? The size of our economy is just $185 billion. And the number of investment or the amount of investment that has come into our country, how much is this? Is this $12 billion?
Right,
Is it 20 billion?
Fauzia Wahab,
It hasn't yet reached.
Let me posit another
It hasn't
scenario
yet
to you.
reached 100 of billion. It could be few billions.
There are two things there are two
that
different
the
categories.
money
But
has
actually,
been
let me
invested
first
in
go
our
to
country.
Anoushay Rehman. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Wahab. Let me go to Anoushay Rehman in Lahore. First, we'll talk about the status of the accountability bill here in Pakistan, and then we will return to the question of assets overseas. There are several different categories on that. Obviously, one is stolen money outright, money filched in kickbacks or commissions or whatever illegal ways there are of making money, and that money is stashed overseas. That's one category. Then there's a whole other category of people who have amassed tremendous amounts of wealth in Pakistan through legal means, but have failed to pay taxes on that money. And that money has also gone abroad. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's also corruption. If you have millions and millions and millions of rupees even, and you have not paid income tax on that, you have not paid wealth tax on that, and you've converted that money into dollars and sent it overseas or euros or whatever else currency is your favorite, that's still illegal. So that is what we want to talk about, and that probably constitutes a fairly large chunk of this country. I mean, I hate to say this, but we are the
Even
largest tax evading country around that I know of. How much?
Even that would not come to $500 billion. That is not possible.
Okay.
Quatrina, one has to be fair, one has to be very objective when you
corruption in this
talk
country
about
is
it.
endemic. I'm not going to sit here and point fingers at politicians only, because I know
agree
that
we
every
have a
strata
high
of
level
society in
of
this country
corruption,
is corrupt.
but please don't talk about corruption that exists in terms of money. There are many other ways of corruption in this country. Why don't you talk about the moral corruption? Why don't you talk about the intellectual corruption? Why don't you talk about those people who have lied to the nations many a times? Don't you think this is also corruption?
Mrs. Wahab, I said that right in my intro that there are many forms of corruption, and today we are focusing on financial corruption. But you're absolutely right. Mrs. Rahman, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us. The question I really have for you is that you serve on the National Assembly Standing Committee that has been given the task of formulating, drafting and preparing the accountability bill. And you have appeared on this program several times in the past and said that that bill continues to be held up, and that there are 5 dissenting notes. There are 5 notes that have been written by members of that committee that are dissenting on that bill. What is the latest update on the status of that bill? Where is it now?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Quatrina, thank you very much. It's very unfortunate that we are speaking about the same issue here again today, even after 30 months of the lapse of the time that has seen the accountability bill sitting in the standing committee. You would recall that the last time I came to see you in your program and we spoke about it, we said that there is a problem with getting the bill fixed in the standing committee, and there were some kind of excuses made by the chairman standing committee because we found that the meeting would get fixed, but then it would get cancelled for one reason or the other. The last such meeting which was convened was called, and we were informed that we will be discussing the notes of dissents. Then the chairman cancelled the meeting a night before because there was some kind of a fracture in her foot. Unfortunately, next morning we saw her in the house. So whatever political fracture it was, because there was certainly not a foot fracture. So there has been a delay on part of the government to make an attempt towards not having the accountability bill fixed. It was fixed then on 27 July. The meeting was cancelled again a day before. Yet again it was fixed. I made an appeal to the Prime Minister in the last session, and I drew his attention to the pending accountability bill. And I said, we have 4 notes of dissent. PML-N has given 58 amendments to the bill that was given to the House, and 53 such amendments were accepted with unanimity in the meeting. However, 4 notes of dissent lying pending in the standing committee, for which the standing committee is waiting to meet, should be discussed, and the bill should be then sent to the Parliament. I think the Prime Minister acceded to my request, because the meeting was again fixed on 27th October. Unfortunately, again I have to say it's most regrettable. I think I have not seen or heard any such thing historically which People's Party is now doing, that on 21st of October, a new notification comes out which says that the agenda of the 27th October 2011 meeting has been changed and the accountability bill has been taken off the agenda altogether. Then of course Ms. Nusrat Bhutto also passed away and the meeting was cancelled anyhow. So there are certain games that are played around on this accountability bill that is being now, what's happening is that People's Party coalition government keeps saying that there are notes of dissent and the members have issues. So what we are saying that please have at least hold a meeting and you can send the bill with our notes of dissent to the parliament and let the parliament decide whether the notes of dissent of PML-N have any weightage. What I do want to tell your audience, Quatrina, today is that the bill that has been, that the terms and conditions, all the provisions of the bill that have been agreed so far, in which the PML-N input has gone in, there has been a consensus in the committee whereby across the board accountability of everyone has been made part of the bill. Now there is consensus in the committee that irrespective of who the person is, the holder of public office definition shall include politicians, judiciary, bureaucracy, media,
Anoushay,
the armed
you are
forces.
a member of the standing committee.
Armed forces.
Have you not requisitioned the meeting?
Yes.
You and the members of
Yes.
the PML-N, haven't
Yes.
you done it?
We did it
and,
twice.
Who are the dissenters? And on what issues are you dissenting? Please apprise us about
Yes,
this.
excellent,
You've been
Fauzia,
very
I
well
appreciate
budgeted.
Dissent.
And why
Okay,
is it
ladies,
not being submitted to the assembly?
Fauzia, I
This is
really
a very
appreciate
important
your
point,
concern.
Mrs. Wahab. This is exactly what I want to return
Yeah.
to, but it's time for me to take a short commercial break. So I want to give you all time to talk about that in detail. I'm sorry, but I just cannot resist this pun over here when the chairman of the standing committee says that her foot is fractured and then she's walking around in the house the following day and here it comes. That was a lame excuse. On that note, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And welcome back to Witness. Before the break, we were talking to Anoushay Rehman of the Pakistan Muslim League N, who said that the standing committee the National Assembly Standing Committee that is supposed to frame the accountability bill, she says has been repeatedly changed or whatever. And the last point that she made was she said that she appealed to the Prime Minister. She asked him to bring the accountability bill forward for the Parliament to consider. And she said she was very disappointed when in the last week of October, on the agenda itself, the accountability bill was removed from the agenda. So that's not fun. Now we're not going to go into tremendous details about the accountability bill itself because today we're talking about a larger issue over here, and that is corruption and accountability. And you know, you can't have accountability without corruption, and if corruption exists, then you have to have accountability. So it's sort of putting the cart before the horse or the horse before the cart. We need to kind of sort these things out. So Mrs. Wahab, I'll come straight back to you in Karachi. One of the issues really is that the accountability bill is just one weapon in the arsenal of the government to prevent corruption. But there are so many others. Now, the first step obviously is to replace the accountability bill that was introduced by General Pervez Musharraf and replace it with your own. And you say that the old NAB ordinance is still functional. Well, yes, but your party had criticized that tremendously. So why aren't you aggressively pushing forward with presenting a new accountability bill to Parliament?
First of all, Quatrina, if you wanted to know about the accountability bill lying in the standing committee, you should have asked somebody from the committee to come and apprise you about the latest on this issue, and you could have asked somebody from the People's Party as well. But since you didn't do it, and I have very little knowledge about what the status of this bill is, all what I can say is that we are committed for accountability. We believe that Pakistan should be free from corruption. But why does corruption take place? First of all, I think the reason
what steps
for
do you
corruption,
think the government needs to take to eradicate corruption?
I don't think so. I have any formula or right now what the government has any plan on how to do it. But I think corruption takes place when you have lacunas in the laws. And the lacunas are only known to those people who know what the laws are. And mostly those people who know the law are the ones who are sitting in the government or in the executive branch of the government of the country. So I think we have to concentrate on various laws, and we have to see where the lacunas are, which enables people to find scapegoat, to find routes, to fool around the people. I think this is the focus that we should be, rather than accusing me of eating up money or accusing somebody else of stealing money. It would be better, it would be in our interest if we study our laws, and if we can find out where the lacunas are, which provides people the opportunity to misuse whatever law they have.
Okay. Point there. Senator Durrani, I'm also kind of curious about this. You mentioned earlier in the program that the Malaysian ambassador told you that 100 billion rupees had been invested in the Second Home Scheme initiative in Malaysia. Now, most countries that I have visited, including the United States, you have to sign a form saying you're not bringing more than $10,000 into the country, and if so, you have to declare it on arrival. How does this money, if you're saying $500 billion, a figure that Fauzia Wahab disputes, how do you think this money has moved out?
Actually, this process of transferring money from one country to other country was really resisted and retarded after 9/11.
Yes.
Before that, there was a very little check on transactions
the
from
the Hawala and all that.
all those.
Illegal.
Even they are working today.
They are,
but
yeah.
there's a check on it, and those over-advising, under-advising, commissions, handing over money over here, and those who are influential, they have many other ways and means of investing money and using different channels. All those channels are very clearly discussed even in this.
But what I'm saying is that there is a paper trail.
Yeah, nobody can hide his money, or track back system is now there. Yeah. Whatever you do, that will be identified. And what actually this discussion was very interesting. One thing, it's 500 billion, or it's 1,000 billion, or it's 100 billion.
Or it's 5 billion.
Or it's 5 billion. I was talking to a finance department senior official. He was saying if we get 5 billion, it will be enough for us for 3 years budget. We are begging for 100 million, 200 million, 500 million from all over the world.
Yep.
And we shouldn't be bothered about how I'm saying 500, it's a good news.
Yeah,
you can get more.
We get that money back.
And if we think that it's less than that, no problem. I don't mind that. I think we only need $67 billion to pay off our all debt. And as far as the law is concerned.
Now, just one question for my edification. When you say $500 billion has been taken out of Pakistan, do you have a time framework for this? I mean, over a period of 10 years, 15 years, how long? Yeah, I mean, what's your time estimate?
What I'm saying is that as of today, we are having more than $500 billion of Pakistanis abroad.
Illegal assets.
Illegal
what
assets.
Is the basis
But how do you know? Like, let's say I come into an inheritance and I buy a house in, I don't know, California. I've earned that money legally, let's say, or I've inherited it, and I buy a house in California. How's that illegal?
That's not illegal.
That's not illegal.
No, that's not illegal, and the same provision is there.
So you're not
but the onus
that.
of proof. If suppose we get an information from USA and we ask them, could you give us the accounts of Pakistanis, and they say Quatrina is having this much over there.
Yeah.
But it will be your responsibility according to international law. It won't be the responsibility of government of Pakistan to prove that what you are having there is illegal.
Or illegal.
It will be your responsibility
So
to
I'm
prove.
guilty until proven innocent?
Until proven innocent.
That's not
And
too
this
nice.
is very
Quatrina,
simple.
may I ask a question?
Yeah, just a minute. Just a minute, Fauzia. Let Senator Durrani finish. So you're saying the paper trails are there. It can be investigated, but who is responsible for following those trails then?
There are more than 30 organizations in the world who are working to facilitate this process.
Okay.
Together with, I have the list. There are certain NGOs, there are certain international, World Bank, UN, Asian Development Bank, all Europe Bank. They are all institutions who have their special cells who are working against
So
corruption.
the government of Pakistan can approach any of these
Anybody,
organizations?
they are ready to even facilitate in the investment that the bill the Switzerland has passed. They said that we will foot the bills of all investigation and we will deduct that bill at the
From the
time
money.
of return.
Fair enough.
So this is so clearly
That's fair enough.
defined.
It's easy then.
And so was the case with Hosni Mubarak. The Banking Association of Switzerland, they sent their representatives to the Egyptian government. They said, don't worry. If you get anything proved against the money we are having, we are ready to pay it back.
We'll give it back.
So this is no problem at the moment. But there's a question: why even India has started
this
negotiation?
process.
Why we are not starting this process? What can be the justification? I am not saying these are all politicians. I think that a politician might be the minimum in number. But what's the problem in having money back to your country? Having your people rich, if we get even $300 billion, there won't be anybody in Pakistan who is homeless today, won't be homeless. We'll be having education, we'll be having health facilities, we'll be having infrastructure, and world says, today there's a consensus, the preface written by the UN Secretary General says that now the developing countries can't develop
what is the
without
basis?
Addressing the issue of
This
corruption.
assumption has to have some basis. He's talking of $500 billion. On the basis of this figure, he has building up a castle in the air, talking about infrastructure, talking about helping people, a figure which is just in his mind. I would like to know what is the premise, what is the basis on which he has come down to this figure.
Good point. What is the basis of which you have reached this figure of 500 billion? Hearsay, rumor, what?
There was a figure given by my parliamentarian friend that there can be 200.
She said, I don't know. It could be less than a billion.
Now I'm coming to my point.
Yeah.
Look, there are, as I said, more than 30 organizations who are working on corruption and ill-gotten money and kleptocracy and all these subject of commissions and other things. They are working on it. I have gone through, there's a very renowned scholar, Ibn Umeed. I can show you his article, which is attached by about 110.
But how do you reach this 500 billion
500 billion. So the research going on in world by different organizations, starting from Transparency International to World Bank to there's a document about the corruption of Pakistan on international level. Is available on the net. You can go there. So there are assessments about the look.
So you
the
have reached this figure.
I also have a question,
about
please.
Indian corruption.
No, let's tell Pakistani corruption.
Just
You
a
have
minute.
reached this assessment by looking at documentation
And
provided
research
by
provided by international
organizations.
organization, and so was provided about India.
Right.
That the assessment of India is 1,500 billion in Swiss banks.
$1,500 billion in Swiss banks.
And nobody in India is objecting it that it is higher or it's lower. They have initiated, if it's less, that will be, matlab, हाथ कंगन को आरसी के, what's the problem?
Exactly.
If it's less, you'll get less.
Right.
If it's more, you'll get more.
Okay, let's quickly get Anoushay Rehman and Fauzia Wahab back on this. Anoushay, what do you think of this project that Senator Durrani's petition, rather I should say, to the Supreme Court, where he says that the international organizations are willing to help recover money that has been stashed abroad illegally by anyone? from countries like Pakistan?
Quatrina, I think nobody is going to disagree with this issue, and nobody, no Pakistani today will have any argument against this good gesture of trying to bring back any ill-gotten money. I will quote, any ill-gotten money which has been acquired through corruption and corrupt practices obviously should be brought back to the country. My question to Mr. Senator Durrani was that has he actually put a paragraph in his petition whereby $60 million which have been declared to be resources, which the money which should come back from the Swiss accounts should be brought back to the account, to Pakistan, which is only now pending, waiting a letter to be written by the NAB chairman to the Swiss courts. So has Mr. Durrani considered,
$60 million
I am talking about the $60 million, I am talking about the $60 million which the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
60 million or 60 billion?
$60 million.
Million.
$60 million. I am not going into the debate whether it is 500, 100. To Fauzia Bibi has very rightly said that we cannot quantify it and we cannot give any hypothetical figures until and unless it is proven to be so. What I am asking is that has Senator Durrani gone to the trouble of finding out that those $60 million which have been proven by the courts as an amount which was not acquired through transparent means and should be brought back to the country, and the letter has to be written, which is subject to a letter to be written by the chairman NAB. So whether that $60 million are covered in his petition, that could be a start. So without going into any further
Senator
detail,
Durrani,
I would like him to answer my question.
Senator Durrani,
Quatrina, can I
Anoushay Rehman
ask a
is
question to
saying
Anousha?
Sure. No, wait. Let Senator Durrani answer it and then you can ask Anousha the question. Otherwise, we're going to get a
Anousha is a lawyer.
Hang on.
Just a minute.
I'll come back to you.
Anousha is a lawyer. Anousha is a lawyer, and I would like to ask her, is it possible
just 1 minute
to find out where the money is and you can get the money back from the banks? Is it possible for the Swiss banks to break their secrecy laws? Does she have any precedents in front of her?
Has the answer.
Does she
Fauzia
know
Wahab,
that
Senator
such
Durrani has the
tradition do
answer.
exist?
Senator Durrani, I'll let you quote it.
Yeah, ma'am. Number one, as far as the accounts already identified and waiting for some letter, that's no problem. Any time government can write a letter and anybody can have it. It's the problem. Court has given his decision about on the subject.
But Anoushay Rehman is saying, have you mentioned it in your petition?
My petition is basically a generic, very simple and covering everybody. Those accounts which have been already identified, they will be again figuring in this petition.
But you're not naming names.
I am not naming names. I want to get the support and the facility available in world today after 2010.
Right.
That I can have the names of all those having their accounts over there or properties over there. This is the legislation made by Swiss government, and it says everything. It can be seen, and you
can you give us the highlights, because that's what Fauzia Wahab's question was. Switzerland had secrecy laws. Are they gone?
They've gone. Now they are bound because it starts with the UN Convention Against Corruption.
Yep.
It goes up to the pressure on Swiss government that you are the one who are responsible for the for retarding the development of underdeveloped world. You are responsible for their lack of their education and lack of their facilities, and under that pressure, the Swiss government was forced in 2010, and they completed their legislation in 2011, and
this
now
year.
this year,
has removed
February this year, and now we should be happy on that. Why we are feeling any problem with it? We are getting our ill-gotten money back, and as Anousha said, that
Quatrina,
why did you choose to make it a generic, like Anoushay Rehman, to follow up to Anoushay Rehman's question? Why did you choose to make it generic?
Actually, I don't want to be party against anybody. I am doing it for my country. I'm not doing it for my party, or I'm not doing it for my political.
So you want want the government of Pakistan to just ask everybody.
Ask everybody, and government will be forced by the people of Pakistan, by the intellectuals of Pakistan, by the media of Pakistan, by the civil society of Pakistan, and they won't find any way. There is no politician who can oppose this. There is no individual in Pakistan.
I think we all realize that, but let me go back to Anoushay Rehman now. Mr. Rehman, the really key question over here is, you specifically asked about $60 million attributed to President Asif Ali Zardari. Now, the question is that what Senator Durrani is proposing encompasses everybody. Is your party willing to stand up to that check and say, we're clean, we have no accounts overseas with illegal money in it?
Absolutely, Quatrina. As I said in my opening sentence, that there are no two opinions on this issue. Anybody and everybody who's got ill-gotten wealth stashed away wherever it is should be brought back to the country. There is absolutely no disagreement on that. What I am saying is that there is a judgment of the Supreme Court which has defined and identified a certain amount, which is defined as being falling into the category which Mr. Senator Durrani is repeatedly suggesting. What I am saying is that if you want to set an example, and there has been adjudication that has taken place and certain results have been produced, yet there is no implementation of the judgment of the Supreme Court. So if you have not had historically a precedence of implementation of Supreme Court judgments with respect to $60 million alone, how does he expect that a Supreme Court judgment...
The problem is that the National Reconciliation Ordinance protects and gives the President immunity.
That's true.
That's a fact
I am not talking about
the
President. I am talking about an amount. I am talking about a specific amount.
Quatrina,
because
my question is, what is this $60 million figure that Anoushay is talking? Please apprise me about it. I have no information. What is this? Are we pinpointing at somebody? Are we trying to malign somebody?
No, we
or
are not.
are we talking accountability?
There is a Supreme Court.
If you are getting at this level, Anoushay Rehman, then I will talk back. I will also talk about your leadership.
Please feel free.
I was told that we were supposed to talk about accountability or whatever the problem of corruption is. Now, coming out from this dignified lady, that $60 million, what is this $60 million? I would like to know from where this figure has come. As far as my information, I have studied all the cases that were going on in the Swiss laws. But what is this $60 million? I would like to know. Please tell us something about it.
There is an order which is pending, a letter that has to be written by the Chairman NAB, on which the process of getting towards that amount becomes complete. This process is...
Which amount?
This $60 million
which amount?
I'm just saying the $60 million amount that is pending, the waiting.
$60 million, in which case have you, what case are you talking about?
I'm talking about the cases which are pending, obviously in the situation which you are very familiar with, against your own leadership. So there is an NRO situation in which we are.
What case is this that you are talking, and which case, which judgment are you referring, please?
Can I please, look, we all, this is not getting anywhere.
This is hitting you below the belt, what she is doing. I was expecting from a legal person to have a legal answer.
Immune from prosecution.
Now she's coming out with the same rhetoric that is going on by the PML-N. May I know what corruption is?
That's democratic right, Fauzia Wahab. Okay, now
may I ask, what do you call this thing that Mia Nawaz Sharif did not do any deal and he was just sent into exile, and then after 5 years he accepts that a deal was signed?
Please stay on the
subject.
Isn't this corruption? Fauzia, stay on the subject.
Isn't this corruption? Please tell me.
There is an order of the Supreme Court waiting implementation.
What order of the Supreme Court are you talking, and which case are you talking?
Let's stop this over here because we are spinning in circles.
What the issue is that if you are going to have...
on earth had she take up $60 million? Why was she just pinpointing on one person?
There is, if you are going to have Supreme Court orders...
If she has an agenda of her party, then you should tell me, then I will also talk about my agenda.
If you are going to go to the Supreme Court... If you're going to go to the Supreme Court asking for some billions and billions of dollars, and you're not going to have the implementation,
this is ridiculous.
This is not going anywhere. I'm interrupting you and overriding both of you over here because really need to get the attention of both you ladies now. Please, the question, Anoushay Sahiba, specific. Senator Durrani has laid out a possible roadmap for recovery of illegal money taken out of Pakistan by any Pakistani citizen. Is your party willing to bring a bill in Parliament requesting the government to do what needs to be done, which is just ask overseas governments through international organizations to give us a list of who's got money abroad?
Quatrina, if it is that simple and through legislation you can get the governments to tell you and give you a list of all the accounts, you will do that, you will achieve that. But how are you going to determine that all that amounts which are outside Pakistan are all illegal amounts, is all money from corruption? They are overseas Pakistanis who have got their accounts there. Because of the law and order situation, a lot of rich people send their monch abroad. How are you going to draw this line?
Right. The $60 million, could you please tell us in which case are you talking and which judgment are you referring? Please give us that name.
I will, that's what I am saying. There are the cases against the President of Pakistan, and this is the NRO case, and we are talking about...
Anousha Bibi, I am asking you, please give me the name of the case and please give me the judgment or the case in which the judgment has come. Please give me the names.
I will give you the judgment.
You are just talking about $60 million and you are just talking about the President?
I am talking about the NRO
just
situation.
To malign him?
I am talking about the NRO cases. And you are very familiar with it, Fauzia Bibi.
What NRO cases?
Under which the President
has... We know that your government, your party, when they were in power, they invoked several cases against the President of Pakistan. And throughout, the cases were going on in the courts and nothing came out of it. Now, which case are you talking about?
Fauzia Bibi, I think you will, if you will recollect your history, you will remember that all the cases that were initiated in the regime of Farooq Sahab. It was done by the President.
You are absolutely wrong.
It was
during
Justice
Farooq Laghari's time. Just two cases were instituted against the President of Pakistan.
And
the rest of the cases were in
these cases were initiated in the regime of People's Party people.
What are you talking?
Okay, what we are now going to be talking about is a very important point. Senator Durrani, I'd like you to respond to that. How do we differentiate between legal accounts being held by Pakistani nationals overseas and illegal? Is there any mechanism to separate the two?
Actually, there are many organizations working on it. If a job is assigned, if you go through, it's a big paper, everything is defined. That there are organizations, they'll charge money and they'll let you know, this is through.
Yeah, like, okay, here's an account with Quatrina Hossain and this is legal. Here's an account with whatever, I can't name anybody. I'll name my producer, Zishan Babar. This is illegal. He's going to kill me for this. So, you know,
he'll be happy.
He'll be happy. So basically, the international organization will bill the government of Pakistan saying, here are assets. Quatrina Hossain is illegal. Let me make myself illegal. And they will charge, they say, I have $100 million. They will take the $100 million out of my account. They will give it to the government of Pakistan minus the money they've spent on investigating it. And they'll tell you that Zishan Babar has a clean bill of health, Nazir Zafar has a clean bill of health, Atif Razak has a clean bill of health.
Actually, what I am saying and what is written in these books and what the research is going on in the world, I am going to put all these things on net so that everybody can get aware of it. It's very simple. That world is not supporting anymore that there should be a transfer of money from developing world to developed world. Even multinationals, they are working against it. They are saying you are stopping the process of middle class formation in the developing world, and in turn we are suffering more than what we are getting in shape of these dead accounts. So that's why. And third is that the extremism money, terrorist money. So there is no option in the world left that the money should be tracked.
You have obviously done a lot of research about this, Senator. Briefly, if you can tell me, what has been the response of the international diplomatic community in Pakistan? Are they responsive to your Supreme Court?
They are so responsive. I have met 2-3 important person in the diplomatic community. They can go to any extent. They are saying that World Bank is coming to your country. When they are negotiating with your country about the aid or about the loan, they are demanding corruption elimination processes, and they are proposing this thing. Nobody is mentioning what they are demanding, because World Bank is investing maximum in corruption eradication.
Okay, quick, because I'm out of time, quick question here. Is there no way that any international organization can itself do this instead of expecting the state of Pakistan to do it? Because I don't see the state of Pakistan doing it.
This is what law says, and this
and
is
that's
what
not going to help.
But I'm very clear. Quatrina, you know, I started this initiative of provinces, and I was very clear then, because I start after a lot of research.
Yeah, briefly, sir, because I'm out of time.
So I'm sure that every government will be forced to do it because of the pressure of the people of Pakistan and international community. Nobody will give them a penny unless they will move this.
All right. I'm afraid I'm going to have to leave it there. I'd like to thank my guests here, Senator Muhammad Ali Durrani. I was joined from Karachi by Fauzia Wahab and from Lahore by Anoushay Rehman. I thank you all for your participation in today's very important topic. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest things when it comes to corruption is the very fact that earlier it was just myth. We know that doesn't happen anymore. They're not suitcases being taken out or people stashing them somewhere. The money has to go somewhere, and it is documented. And now there are international laws to tell us who has what where. Senator Muhammad Ali Durrani's petition pens before the Supreme Court, and we await the verdict of the Supreme Court, and we hope that it will help bring Pakistan's prosperity back. Quatrina saying Khuda Hafiz from Islamabad.